Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. As you know, this is UK Lifestyle Medical Week, where we are featuring people from the UK that have this wonderful organization that they're all involved in, and they're doing great things in the UK, and you're going to learn all about them. And today we have Dr. Hayley Tait, who's not only a family physician, a chef, and an author, but is here today to also do a cooking demo. Please welcome Dr. Tait to the show. It's so nice to meet you.
Hi, thanks for having us here. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I can't wait. I love when a doctor is also a chef. I find that because I'm a chef, I'm not a doctor, but I find that so interesting and exciting when you can do both.
I've always loved cooking, and then when I embraced a vegan lifestyle and got into plant-based health, I saw it as another challenge, and just brought on all the different foods and different flavors. It's just been really exciting. It's a really exciting journey.
Well, that's fantastic. How your accent doesn't sound quite British to me.
I'm from Liverpool, so it's like posh Scouse.
I like it very much, but it's funny because I'm listening to the different people this week, and none of them sound exactly the same.
No, because we're all regional.
Right.
So I'm from the northwest, so that's Liverpool. So you'll know from the Beatles, if anyone knows the Beatles.
Oh, I think everybody that's alive knows the Beatles. Nice. I was just curious about that. So when did you first find out about lifestyle medicine and a plant-based diet?
So about 2017, I watched that sort of dairy scary clip, and then I immediately embraced a vegan lifestyle. And then I was looking into the benefits of plant-based diet and was shifting my diet, my cooking. And then more and more the research, the evidence just became so obvious. I joined Plant-Based Health Professionals UK, and then I did the Winchester course, which is all about nutrition and plant-based nutrition and how good it is for our health. And I was just surprised how little was taught in medical school, and how much we can do without having to prescribe medications or interventions, that can be quite harmful. And this is food, and we can do so much with food for our benefit. So it was brilliant. And then I was invited to join on the team, and I've developed a culinary medicine course called Cooking for the Climate, which is, again, educating people how to cook in a sustainable way and in a healthy way. And, to put it out there to our healthcare professionals who may not know this.
Yeah, I know that in the United States, very little is taught in medical school about nutrition. Is it the same in the UK?
Absolutely. About 3 hours, and possibly to sort of biology A-level standards. So, nothing really of any use, your basic food groups, I would say, and then it ends there. But nothing about the gut microbiome and how important and how healthful and the benefits of all these abundance of green vegetables, of all the nuts and seeds, and so we've got a lot of myth busting to do and a lot of education to do, and to bring it up to speed. I think on some of the orthopedic wards, when you break your hip, you're still getting told to have a pint of cow's milk.
Wow, 3 hours. That's like a long movie.
Yeah. Not a lot, but so I've done this culinary medicine course, so Cooking for the Climate, and it's been embraced by a lot of universities now. So the medical schools are on it, that they have to do something, and also as part of global and planetary health. So we'll be getting this Cooking for the Climate. So we're teaching the healthful benefits of a plant-based diet and also the planetary benefits. And then hopefully the doctors of the future will be able to talk to their patients about sustainability and be able to explain to their patients why it's such a good thing to eat an abundance of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, which we know now are so helpful.
Yeah, all of the wonderful practitioners and doctors from the UK health professionals, have you been able to influence some of the other doctors that maybe are not yet in your organization?
Absolutely. So all the time we're outreaching. I do like little cook-alongs and advertise them on like my Instagram and things. So, lots of people who aren't in the organization can join. There's loads of free resources on it. I discuss with my patients as a GP, and I think there's lots of GPs in the organization as well. So yeah, we're just spreading the plant love, really.
Was your journey to veganism difficult, or just you got the information and you said, this is a good idea, I'm starting right now?
Exactly. So I watched Cowspiracy, and the next day I woke up and said, that's it for dairy. And, you know, I was a big meat eater, like a big meat and fish eater, loved food, loved cooking, but would eat everything and anything. And yeah, overnight dropped dairy, and then probably over the next couple of months dropped fish, meat. Saw it as a challenge, a culinary challenge, but then, you know, the more information I got and the more evidence about, you know, I just hadn't made the connection, Chef AJ, at all. And when you make the connection, it's like, once you know, you don't unknow, do you? So I've made the connection, and that was it for me. You know, I've got dogs, I've got chickens, who we used to eat the eggs off, but now we give their eggs back to them, and they eat them.
What did your family transition to a plant-based diet as well?
So there's just me and my daughter, and then the sort of extended family. They you know, the sort of moan and groan, and then obviously they come and I make delicious food, and then they can't believe it's not vegan. And so more and more, I think the information is you know, you're educating all the time, and so more and more they will choose the vegan option.
That's fantastic. You work with underprivileged families in Liverpool, right?
Yeah, so I've set up a cook school, and I do some like Zoom cook-alongs with underprivileged families. And so a lot of it is around accessibility and affordability. So making delicious food that is healthy and affordable, because, you know, we know we've got really sort of food deserts, so the most deprived areas have the least access to good quality food. And, you know, the health inequalities parallel to that. So not only are you in a deprived area, you've got less access to food, and you're more likely to have, you know, heart disease, cancers. So I do a cook. I've set up this cook school, Veggie cook school. So we have families can come, and it's all free. It's sponsored by Plant-Based Health Professionals UK, and we cook and eat the delicious food. But then what's left over, because we make probably about 4 to 8 portions each, and then what's left over is shared out to our homeless by an organisation called Scouse Kitchen.
Nice. You know, but don't you think there's a little bit of a misconception that eating plant-based is expensive?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's, you know, you have to be savvy about what you buy and where you buy. I try and avoid the supermarkets so much. So I get a big organic veg delivery, and then I split that up between different families. So I buy it sort of wholesale, and again, I'll buy things in bulk. But I absolutely think our food bill is way less. I would say at least 50% less. And you know, I cost up these meals. So like a lentil soup was like 40p, and like a spaghetti bolognese was less than £1. So that's like $1.20 or something. You know, and when you're cooking for a big family, that's a lot cheaper than you can get, you know, the other cheap ultra processed forms of food.
Nice. Are the starchy staples that we have in the United States also available in the UK and fairly inexpensive, like the whole grains, the legumes, potatoes, sweet potatoes, winter squashes?
Absolutely. And, you know, and at the moment, you know, so when I get this veg box, it's seasonal. So like at the moment, we've got an abundance of the sweet potatoes and the squashes, and, you know, all those delicious squashes and all those lovely colourful things. Yeah, I've got one here. So this was in this week. So this gorgeous stripy fella. But you know, with a lovely orange flesh, but they come in all different shapes and sizes. Yeah, so you know, we are really lucky.
Nice.
But I think the UK only grows about 20% of its own food, because about 70% of our agricultural land is used for animal feed.
Yeah, that's what's the problem with climate change, isn't it?
Yeah. And only creating 18% of our calories. So, yeah. It is a broken system, and it's an unjust and unsustainable system. But, you know, the thing is education, 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 isn't it?
Right. Do you have a copy of your book you could show us?
Oh! my book. Have you got time to speak with me?
Absolutely. I don't think I can we get it in the United States? Hope so. This is where I feel time. Hopefully the guest will come back in a second. Hope you guys are enjoying UK health.
Sorry, no, I've sent my daughter's going to get one.
Great. Well, thank you, because I'd love to know what when did you write it? How many recipes? What it's like?
So I wrote it in 2019. So as I say, I've always been interested in food, and I always wanted to write a cookbook. So that was like a dream. And here it is. Thanks, Paige. So it was health on the hob, easy plant-based recipes. And I wanted to write a book, since I was like 18. And then suddenly with all the veganism and the plant-based recipes, and then it all came to fruition, which is lovely. So, I made sure that there was pictures of everything on every page, and it's white clean, and they're easy and they're affordable, and they're recognizable. And it was to take familiar recipes. There is a little bit of dirty vegan in here. Where's it gone? There you go. Just some syrup on the pancakes. But yeah, it was just to make things affordable and accessible, and so take those bologneses and use lentils and walnuts to imitate the taste and the flavor of the meat, and just so it would be an easy transition for people.
Do you have a favorite recipe in the book?
I do love the mushroom risotto.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
What are you going to make for us today?
So today I was looking at, I was going to make a holiday roast veg bowl. So like a Buddha bowl, but I thought if people had leftovers from their big holiday roast, or, all their festive flavorings, and I wanted to incorporate all that, and again with abundance of nuts and seeds. And yeah, so I'm going to cook this from scratch, but you might find that you've got you've got some potatoes left over, and well, what could you do with those? Well, we're going to toss them in some different spices, and so yeah, so it should all come together today. And it's the type of thing that you could enjoy for a brunch, or an anytime meal. But yeah, lots of different grains, and I mean, it is literally a whole food plant-based diet in a bowl.
Great, well, I can't wait. Do you use any of the tools that I use, for example, the Instant Pot or the air fryer?
So I keep it really simple, and I should really, because the Instant Pot's brilliant for energy saving, isn't it? Because it's so fast.
It's so fast.
Yeah, and I know I need to get into that. So I've just got a pan on a hob. So this one, and I got I'm going to just pre-cook some of these white potatoes because they don't cook as quickly as the sweet potato. But no, so I don't have any fancy tools. And again, a lot of that is around when I do work, with vulnerable families. I mean, some people, Chef AJ, cannot join on the class because they don't have fuel. So they can't join the cooking class because they don't have fuel. So, there's a sad reality there. So I try and keep it as simple as I can. But no, the cook pot is very good. And also I've got this big Wonder Bag, which is like an insulated slow cooker that doesn't require any fuel. So they're good. You just boil your beans up in the pan, then you stick it in this big insulated bag, and then about 4 hours later, the beans are cooked.
Nice. That's great.
I think that's a charity from South Africa set that up.
Great. Well, let's get cooking.
All righty. So as I said, we're going to prepare some potatoes. So the white potatoes take a little bit longer than the sweet potatoes. So we're going to cube these. So I'm just going to take 2. What I cook today will probably feed a good 2 or 3 people. But I think the instructions I've given are actually for 4. So these cubes of white potato, I'm just going to put them in a pan of boiling water. They'll just soften slightly while we do the rest. And then I'm going to chop the broccoli. I think you're a fan of, is it Dr. Gregor?
Yeah, I think everyone is.
Yeah, I mean, we all are, and I think he's big on, chopping your cruciferous vegetables and leaving them out for your, I can never say it, sulfurylaranes,
Sulforaphane, I think.
sulfuraphanes, yeah. So I'm just going to prep the broccoli now. And just into little florets. This is going to pick up some, we're going to toss this in some sesame seeds and some orange zest and soy, which I'm just going to use a tamari. But so you want this in sort of bite-sized pieces, about that. And again, the sulfurylaranes will be good. I'm going to pop that to the side because it's not quite ready to go. And then the sweet potatoes, these were covered in mud, but I have washed them. But I leave the skin on, I'm sure you do too. I'm just going to take those couple of bits off. So these are going to be roasted. I mean, I do like these potatoes steamed, but I'm going to get a little bit of crispiness on the outer side. And we're not using any oil in today's recipes. And you'll see that, you can create beautiful flavors and tastes, and, we really don't need added oil. I do know about the US, but, we're in an obesity crisis in the UK, and diabetes is huge rates. So really, we don't need the added saturated fat from oils. And the omegas that some oils do have a benefit from, I eat a lot of flax and hemp seeds. So I don't have concerns. So this is a mixed pumpkin spice, which I'm pretty sure you can get over there. I think you sent it to us. And of course, those aromatics now that are coming up are just gorgeous. I think there's nutmegs and cinnamon and star anise and lovely, lovely smells. And it's nice and dry. You can just, toss the potatoes in that. And then I'm going to prep some beetroot. So I've got some nice muddy beetroot here. Now, these are organic from the veg box, and I don't normally take a lot of the soil off. I'm not particularly fussy about the soil. But these two I have washed. You want this in quite big chunks. This is going to cook at the same time as your potatoes. And I'm also going to prep with this some star anise and some balsamic. So again, those lovely flavors, all delicious and seasonal and festive. A little bit tangy with the balsamic. It goes perfectly with beetroot.
I love balsamic vinegar. Do you get the flavor ones? Do you get the thick syrupy reduced ones in the UK like we get here in different flavors?
We get, I know of one that's like syrupy, yeah. But I think it does this in the oven, doesn't it, on its own? But I know what you mean. You mean like to use as a salad dressing?
Exactly. Or even for roasting vegetables or.
Oh, yum. So here's these lovely star anise, and these are quite pretty if you're dressing the table as well. Just people can, snap them and smell them. Like an aniseedy smell.
It's sort of like a licorice flavor.
Yeah, licorice, yeah. And then we've got this lovely balsamic. About 2 or 3 tablespoons. It's fine, it'll all just soak up and dry. And I'm going to use a big garlic bowl, a whole bowl, just slice right through and push. And with the top bits that separate, just pop them in with the beetroot. They'll cook in there, and you're going to serve them with that. And this one, I'm just going to place on the roasting tin. So this is all wrapped up. You can add a little bit of black pepper. Give it a little toss around and seal that up in its little foil packet. And then I'm going to pop that on a tray. And so this garlic doesn't stick, just going to add a little bit of water to the tray. And that one's ready to go in the oven. I'm a big fan of garlic, so I'm just going to do an extra one as well. Do you like roast garlic?
Oh my God, I love it. You can use it for everything, for hummus, salad dressings, in vegetable dishes. It's so mellow and creamy when you roast it. And people think you need oil to roast it. You don't. You can just, I don't know how you roast your garlic, but I just got back from teaching at a spot in Mexico, Rancho La Puerta, and all they do is they take the bulbs, they don't even cut them, and they just wrap them in foil and put them in the oven for an hour.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. So I'm just going to pop that in. I don't think you necessarily do need to put it. And certainly, you know, I think we used to think you needed oil, but you know, you don't. And then those other potatoes will be ready. So I'm just going to add those to this dish. So I've just taken the white potatoes and they've just softened slightly. It's just because they cook it they take a wee bit longer than the sweet potatoes. And rather than overcook anything, I'd rather pre-cook this little bit. So again, a little sprinkle of black pepper. And they're going to go in the oven again with the beetroot. And we've got some grains. So let me take that out. I'm just going to heat up some more water in that pan. And then the grains I was going to use today, I wanted to showcase, you know, lots of grains. So this is a short grain brown rice. So again, full of fiber, full of B vitamins. This is a buckwheat. I love this because it's like little pyramids. And the two types of quinoa, a red and a white. So those grains, I'm just going to pop in the boiling water and just let them simmer. I don't distinguish between any cooking times. It always works, so that's great. So I'm just going to pop those in the water. And I've got a hot pan on this stove ready to make the dressing for the broccoli. So the grains are in. The beetroot and the sweet potato are in. And where's our broccoli? So we can put our broccoli onto steam now. You could pre-cook this for about half an hour, up to 90 minutes really, to get the most out of your sulfur brain. I'm going to have to practice saying that. And then we're going to make the what we're going to top the broccoli with. So I've got some sesame and some pine nuts. And I'm just going to toast those gently in a hot pan. So I've got a pan here. And what happens is as it gets very hot, you'll hear like popcorn. Can you hear it already?
Was it hard for you to learn to cook without oil? People think it like oil is essential to life and to cooking, and you know it's not.
I was so surprised, honestly. When the first time I did a stir fry with 3 tablespoons of water instead of, you know, your just blase splash of oil, and and it just made no difference at all. If anything, to the flavor of the vegetables and things are heightened, aren't they, without the oil? I just thought it was incredible, and you know, quickly lost 1.5 stones.
Now, what is that in pounds? I'm sorry, I didn't learn the metric system.
So that would be 21 pounds.
That's amazing. People don't realize that is the easiest way to lose weight, is to just stop the oil. And people think, well, but you know, you need fat. But as a doctor, you can tell them they need fat, but they don't need oil.
Exactly. Yeah. So exactly. And that's the thing, is we've got, you know, all this abundance of, we've already got pine nuts on there. We've got seeds, you know, we've got lovely healthful fats. that are going to be beneficial, and they're not going to be inflammatory, and they're not going to make us obese, and they're not going to risk our type 2 diabetes and our heart disease. So, it's just win-win-win with the plant-based diet, isn't it? All the time. It's like you just, and I always say it is only food, so it doesn't come along with harms. There is a place for medicine, but this is food, and we can really help ourselves with food. I think it's really important. Patients need to, everybody needs to feel empowered, and this is a thing that they can do. Equally, we need the governments to be prioritised and healthy food to be available for everybody. I don't know what's it like in the US in terms of food deserts and things.
We definitely have them for sure. Food banks, food deserts. But again, the problem is that processed food is so cheap. Who can compete with the dollar menu at McDonald's, right?
I know. It is. It's hard, isn't it? We do the tin of Red Bull and the chocolate bar, and then the sausage roll, and then the big burger for dinner. And it's really difficult because you're always criticized on a plant-based diet. Oh, where'd you get this? Where'd you get that? Or you need to take supplements. And it's got this abundance of really great stuff of everything else. The fiber and all the vitamins and the phytonutrients, but it gets criticized for because you need to take a B12 supplement or something.
Is American fast food very popular in the UK? I imagine you probably have things like McDonald's.
Oh, it's huge. So, you can walk down the street and like every other shop is like fried chicken or burger joints, pizza joints. Yeah.
You have a very fun Instagram page, Health on the Hob. What does that mean, Health on the Hob?
So that was the name of the book. So because it was about what we put in what we cook. So the hob is the cooking surface. So what we put on there can be healthy, and so your health is literally in your hands. It's your responsibility.
You have some beautiful photos. Like there's one of like a cheese platter, which I'm sure is not dairy.
No, that is incredible. So I found this in there's a vegan hotel up in Scotland, Pitlochry, and they served a cheese board at the end of dinner, and it's from this organisation. Company called Honestly Tasty. So it's camembert and for camembert, and I can't remember what they call the brie, and cheddary and herby, so they're all mimic the cheeses, and yes, they are full of saturated fat, and they're based on I think rapeseed oil and coconut oil, but there's a blue like a Roquefort. But that's the beauty of it is if people are really, really missing it as a one-off, then they've got access to it. And dairy is full of saturated fat anyway, so it's a balance, isn't it? I think the plant-based versions are still healthier.
I mean, the food looks delicious. You have a dessert, like a matcha dessert with the way you decorated the top.
That was my daughter did that, Chef AJ.
That is beautiful. And you have a stuffed squash that looks incredible.
That was gorgeous, yeah. And I'm just stirring the grains.
And you call vegetables different names because you called it aubergine. We call it eggplant, I think.
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, and aubergine we call it. And I mean, I just love aubergine because you can get that smoky flavor, you can bake them. They're so simple to make an incredible curry with. Just literally some spice, some tomatoes. It's just so easy and it's so delicious, yeah.
And then you have, I think you call a zucchini courgette. Is that correct? Courgette. Okay. Yeah. And my favorite photo on your Instagram page is you have a little rescue dog. That is so sweet.
Ted. Do you want to see him?
Of course we do. Like maybe you have two dogs, but the little one, it looks like new. There's a photo on your Instagram page where your dog is looking up at some green beans. It's hilarious.
He's what? Sorry.
Oh my God, what a cute.
Say hi to Chef AJ. Hello. So we got him when he was 7 and he's 12 now. And here's the other ones getting jealous. All right, come and say hi to Chef AJ. Come on. Oh, I don't know whether you can see Max.
He's gorgeous. Looks like a golden retriever.
He's a golden retriever, yeah.
Do they love each other?
Always hungry.
There's a photo on your Instagram page where Max looks like he's looking at some green beans.
He looks at anything that's food. He's totally food obsessed. I've never known a dog as food obsessed. He's so funny.
That is, they're precious. Thank you for rescuing.
Yeah, and they just bring so much joy, don't they? And they get you out and about, you get around the park twice a day.
I think instead of prescribing antidepressants as the first line of defense, doctors should prescribe prescriptions to go to the shelter and get a dog. And then if it doesn't work, consider medication.
And exercise, yeah, it's such a good thing, isn't it, to be out. And to be honest, I found it really good as well for the relationship with my daughter, because you might start out with a grumpy teenager, but by the end of the walk, you've made up and you're talking about something else. Right, I'm sorry, I've carried on. I'm going to add some citrus to the sauce that's going to go with the broccoli. I've taken the broccoli off, and the grains are still cooking. And then to this pan of the toasted nuts and sesame, I've got some orange zest and a little bit of tamari soy sauce, about a tablespoon. That's going to give it a real salty flavor, so it's a bit oriental. And then the juice of the orange.
You seem to be very comfortable in the kitchen. Have you had any formal culinary training, and were you just as good of a chef when you weren't eating plant-based?
So I've always loved food. Yeah, I've never been to cooking school. But yeah, I think I've just always had an interest. And so and I'm the type of person who I'll be interested in a cookery book and I'll buy it and I'll read it, but I never use a recipe. And what's interesting is when I did my own recipes, so I wrote them all down. I just imagine myself, I'm quite a visual person, so I just imagine myself in the kitchen and how I'd walk about the kitchen when I prepared the food, wrote it down, then rechecked it worked, then rechecked it worked again for the photo shoot. And then, after the book was published, about a year later, I just cooked something up with my daughter and we were like, wow, this is really good. Because we tend not to have the same thing twice, because we just make up stuff every day. And the other thing is, Chef AJ, is, at the end of the day, you're cutting and you're putting heat to things. And I know the flavor combinations can take a little bit of getting used to, but people can be adventurous and it's not exactly going to go too wrong, So I think people can be bold and enjoy it. And because there's lots of people who say I can't cook. When actually I think that it's a barrier that doesn't necessarily need to be there. So I'm going to add the broccoli to this soy, orange, nuts and sesame. I'm just going to add a little more water to the greens because they look like they're getting a bit dry. And you can just keep an eye on those. No huge deal. And again, so this meal, it's you can make it with the family, you can be quite relaxed about it. Nothing needs to be at a particular temperature. All of this stuff is delicious, hot or cold. I did, what I should have said was to take some of these nuts out before you added the soy, and then I use them to chop, but it's not, again, not a disaster. So I'm going to pop this onto a platter. So you can serve this up individually, but I think it's quite nice to have on a platter, so it gives it that sense of occasion. And this is, This is supposed to be a holiday cook along. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more water to that pan. So we're going to use the flavours in the pan. There isn't a lot, but there isn't a lot of the sauce. So that's the broccoli with the pine nuts, orange zest, and sesame. So that's the first one that's out. And keep an eye on the greens if anyone's. And then that other pan is just getting hot. And we've got some delicious greens here. So I don't think we get collards, but I know collards are big in the US. So I've got kale, and this is delicious. To be honest, it's probably about a week old, but it's still in really good condition. And just slice the stems quite thinly. And get those in the pan to heat up. And then pop a lid on while we prepare the rest. Just because the stem's a little bit tougher. So yeah, so I don't think I've eaten collards.
Oh, they're very good. I would say maybe they're a little bit milder than kale. Have you ever had like chard, either Swiss chard, rainbow chard?
Yes. Are they like that?
Kind of. I think, yeah. I think that the most mild is probably the chard and then the collards. So kale could sometimes have a little bit of a bite and be bitter for some people, and then arugula would be maybe even more bitter. But they're all good. I mean, once you learn to love them, you pretty much love them all. But collards are nicest. You can make wraps with them.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So I use spinach in wraps, but it's not particularly flavoursome, is it, spinach? Once that boils up, and then I've got this Chinese leaf. So again, it's beautiful. It's lovely green leaf and some tougher stems, but quite water loaded these. So they're really crunchy and vibrant. So you don't want to cook any of this for too long. I'm just going to give that a rinse because there is a bit of soil in it that might be gritty. I'm just going to move that pan over there. I'm not sure it's working. And pop these lovely green leaves. So we're probably looking at like 2 minutes now for this. We've got the stems in, and then probably another minute on this. And you can never have too many greens. So we've got the kale, we've got the broccoli, we've got these Chinese lettuce, and we've got some spinach. The spinach I'm not going to cook. So I find if you just stir that in once the heat's turned off, that's absolutely ample. And we're just going to be topping this with some walnuts and putting it through that the liquid that was already left over from the broccoli. So the top of the Chinese leaf, I'm going to cook with the spinach because that won't need to be cooked at all, really. Just slice it quite thinly. Yeah, I mean, I think you need to be interested in food, I suppose. I know, but I think for people who aren't, I say batch cook. You know, so I'm a big fan of batch cooking, but I tend to give it away because I love to cook. So I batch cook, give it away, so then I can cook the next day.
What do you eat in a day? Can you tell us? Because that's a very popular question for pretty much every guest that we have.
So I will wake, I'll either have a smoothie, so that would be some soy milk, a banana, berries from the freezer, normally cherries or blueberries, and some cacao. And then I would add flaxseed, hemp seed, maybe some sunflower seeds, or I would have a porridge. So the oatmeal, and I grate in some apple and put some mixed spice in. And again, I'd fortify that at the end with hemp seed, flaxseed, and some nuts and seeds like pumpkin, sunflower, and Brazil nuts. So I feel like I've boxed all my omegas off by 9 a.m. And then lunch could be a wrap or a soup. Again, hummus, homemade hummus, or a pesto with tofu. I used to hate tofu, and it probably took me about a year, 18 months to really embrace tofu. And because of course, for all its female benefits and everything, and I do find it brilliant in terms of the menopause. But yeah, it's now we can eat it and slice it as if it's like cheese for a sandwich. And then for dinner, again, a chili, a curry, a bolognese. So, an abundance of, if we have a pasta, then we'll do like a big salad on the side. And again, I think Michael Clappers was saying, no salad too big, because, people are used to getting this little side salad that's probably got about 50 calories in and wonder why they're hungry. Whereas, you need to be eating a really big salad. It needs to have the nuts and the seeds in so that you do feel full and enjoy it. And yeah, dark chocolate. I'm not standing here saying that it's plant-based, not perfect. I do like desserts, love dates. So I do, you've probably heard of it, when you get those beautiful medjool dates and you fill it with crunchy peanut butter and then cover it in 70% chocolate and stick it in the freezer, and it's like a Snicker bar.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the doctors I had on the show says, eat a salad the size of your head every day. And Dr. Joel Furman says the salad is the main dish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it is. And I think that's, you've just got to have put all the stuff with it. Otherwise you're starving. These people say have a side on it.
Are the holidays in the UK, the foods similar to here? I know you probably celebrate Christmas the same, but Thanksgiving is an American holiday, so you probably don't have that.
So we don't have that, but you guys have our Christmas dinner on your Thanksgiving, don't you? Do you have turkey?
Well, I don't, but here it's traditional to slaughter a turkey and make that the center of the food. Yeah, since apparently the Pilgrim
So
Day.
that's the same here, but so we are. So the last few years we've had delicious nut roasts, but and the people are changing and there's more availability in the supermarkets. I don't know what it's like over there, but so the nut roasts are available now, but yeah, I like the red cabbage with orange, all these flavors and herbs I'm using today, and the nuts and the seeds. And so we've got some cranberries and chestnuts. So those types of things would come in. So we do those with like little Brussels sprouts. So again, it was these flavors that I thought, well, people will have them from their holiday food. And you can just add them to this just to pep everything up. I think, I spent Christmas 2 years ago in Utah. So I've got friends in Park City. And that was really good. We did a big Christmas lunch and we made a Biscoff cake for dessert.
I know that people are going to ask where they can get these recipes. Are they written up somewhere, maybe on your blog or Instagram page or in your book, or maybe you'd be willing to provide them?
Oh yeah, so I've sent it. Yeah, I can definitely provide it, and definitely provide it. It's I can either go on my Insta, but I can send it to you, and
I can add it to the show notes, which are right below the video on YouTube. That would be wonderful.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Nice.
Okay, so where are we up to? So we've got the greens are doing there now, just wilting away. Now we're going to make some smoked mushrooms. So there's lots of components to this, but it just makes it exciting, and you've got a big platter of food and people can take what they want. Mushrooms, as you know, full of vitamin D, and lots of fiber again. I just tear them. So I used to stand there and cut mushrooms, and I just realized that you can tear them and it's so much nicer. So I've got some white mushrooms here and some chestnut mushrooms, but any type will do. The shitake ones are good. And I think you guys will definitely have more of this than we have in the UK, which is this hickory smoke sauce. So yeah, so it should be readily available, and just drench the mushrooms in the hickory smoke and a bit of pepper, and just massage that in, and they can sit and marinate in that. And then you're gonna just cook them up. Now, mushrooms like to be cooked on their own, so they like a lot of space around. So if you've got a wok or a big pan, that's fine. If you haven't, it doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. You're just going to put a little bit of heat in them. And to be honest, you don't really need to. So, you can eat these raw, they're fine. And you'll still get that smoky flavor. And it depends, because you can prepare all this and you can serve it cold. It doesn't really matter.
I've heard that mushrooms.
So
I've always heard from some of the doctors that mushrooms have to be cooked.
They say they have to be cooked.
That's what I think it was, maybe Dr. Furman or Dr. Greger, that there's something in them that you have to cook them. I can look that up, but I do remember.
Okay, well, I'll look into that. To be honest, I mean, I do normally. It's just that I think when I used to cook with meat, you're always so aware of the hygiene rules, and is it cooked through, and you can't mix that spoon with that spoon, and you can't use that prepping surface because of the contamination issues. And I think what's really nice about cooking plant-based is that you don't have to really consider any of that. You can stick your spoon in one thing and it's not got meat or salmonella or whatever that needs to burn off.
This is where I love it, my air fryer, because I'm not very picky with food, but I've never cared for mushrooms because of the texture. But when I put them in the air fryer, now we're talking.
Oh, good. What do they do?
They I don't want to say they crisp up real crispy, but they shrink down, and they don't have the texture that I'm not fond of, like a mushroom. And I put spices on them, like a pepperoni spice, and they're just delicious.
Perfect. Yeah, I think exactly that. I think if they like their own space in the pan, so that would obviously just make a lovely dry atmosphere. So it would be brilliant just when they go dry. Right, so my grains are done, and to those greens, I've got those greens that have wilted down a little bit now, maybe a bit too much because we were talking. And then I'm going to tip in the spinach and the tops of the Chinese leaf. And I'm going to stick that in just going to pop that in a bigger pan. So you can see this abundance of green. And then I'll put the mushrooms in this one. And they can go on the stove. The greens, so the heat of the kale and the stalks from the lettuce will just wilt that spinach down. So as you know, you start off with spinach in a huge bunch of spinach, and it goes to absolutely nothing. But it just needs a little bit of heat.
You're really making a feast.
Well, it's a holiday feast. It has to be special. So I think this will be fine if I just leave it, and it'll just, that will roast on its own with the lid on. Okay. So we've got the mushrooms are getting ready, and then we're going to make a bean dip to go with this. And again, we're going to incorporate all these lovely flavors. So if we drain a tin of, these are called cannellini beans here, but I don't know whether they're white beans in the US or have you got cannellini?
Right, we use the same word, cannellini bean.
Perfect. So I've got a tin of drained cannellini beans and about 2 tablespoons of tahini. And I'm going to add some black pepper. And I am going to add a bit of salt. So I use this pink Himalayan salt. But you'll have noticed I don't really add salt to a lot of things, but beans, they don't have much flavour. So I do add them to this. And you could use a blender for this, but again, just to keep it simple and to use as few tools as possible, I'll use a fork, and you see how easy they mash. Now, if you were going to buy your beans in bulk and pre-cook them, you can pre-cook, batch cook them, you can keep them in the freezer. It's the one food that you can overcook, and you're not going to lose any of the vitamins or anything, or any of the benefits. So they squash up really nicely and quickly, and then stir in that tahini, and what you'll notice is it thickens it up. And to flavour this, we're going to use some lovely classic herbs. Got some beautiful rosemary. And I like doing this. Rosemary is one of my absolute favourite smells. And you can bash it a little bit to release the oil. And just use it to stir your dip. Don't worry if any of it breaks off, it's fine. And then I'm also going to add the zest and the juice of a lemon. I can hear my mushrooms sizzling, so I want to just check on them.
Good thing that it's like 9 hours later where you are, because you can actually eat this for dinner when we're done.
But it's perfect for brunch as well. So they're already soaking up that sauce. I'd like to hear how you go on with putting them in the air fryer with the smoky sauce. I suppose you've done it before and it's great.
Do you do any kind of batch cooking for your daily life?
So on a Sunday, I just love cooking to sort of relax. So I'll often make like a big curry, a big batch of tomato sauce that I can then keep in jars. So then through the week, I might make a chili and I might make a pasta sauce, or I might make a fajita mix, so I can use that. But, sometimes I'll batch cook and I'll just give it away because, I've got plenty of family or friends that don't cook. Okay, so we've got this lovely lemon zest. Keep a little bit aside with your lovely sprig of rosemary and pop that onto the dip. And I love the way lemon juice makes tahini go thicker. I don't know what that chemical reaction is. But when it makes it's sort of like, I don't know, makes it go sort of thick. So a good chunk of lemon juice. I'm a big citrus fan. So I love citrus and everything. I'm going to turn those mushrooms off and let's see whether the garlic is ready. So that'll be fine. Yum. So there's one of our garlics, and we've got our beetroot in here. And if you just prod that, so some of them are soft, some of them are still a little bit hard. So I'm just going to pop that in till the end. But certainly the garlic was ready to come out. And I'm just going to give you the heads up on, so there's the potatoes. So again, they're only 20 minutes and that's fabulous.
Boy, Max is sure hoping that something drops on the floor, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He's just looking at me now. So here's this delicious garlic you were telling everyone about. Look at it, it's just gorgeous and pureed. And as you say, that the flavor is so much gentler, isn't it, when you roast it? It's delicious.
It really is. And I've known people that like feel like they have a garlic intolerance, but yet when it's roasted, they don't.
Yeah. I don't like eating it raw, to be honest, in hummus. I'm not a big fan of it, it's like really raw.
It just mellows it out, and you can use roasted garlic in hummus as well, or just spread it on anything. It's just, I mean, mashed potatoes, it's fantastic in mashed potatoes, cauliflower, everything. It's just, when people say they can't eat onion and garlic, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, because to me, that's the foundation of all cooking.
Yeah. And the smell is just amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
What's your favorite dish?
Oh gosh, I'm boring. I mean, I love sweet potatoes more than anything, but not the orange ones. I don't know if you get the ones that we get here in the United States they're called Hannah yams, Jersey yams, or white sweet potatoes. So instead of being orange on the inside, they're creamy white on the inside, and they're just it's a different flavor. It almost has like a vanilla flavor. They taste like cake, or they're called Japanese, and that's what I eat every day for lunch because I love them so much. The orange ones are okay, like as fries, but they're not my favorite.
Is they're too sweet?
They're not too sweet. They're just, I don't know. They're pedestrian. I don't know what to tell you. They're okay. I'll eat them, but if you've ever had the Hannah yam or the Japanese, it's like they're just better. I mean, they're so good. Do you get different kinds, or like the purple stove, the Hawaiian one?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we do. We get a really thick wooded yam, like a very dark brown skin with white flesh. So yeah, we go. But yeah, I love them all.
What's that thing that a lot of people in England eat? Is it called Marmite that you eat on toast, or is that Australian? I always.
No, it's Marmite. It's us.
What is that? Is it very popular? And if so, is there a vegan version?
Yeah, it's a yeast extract. So it's a yeast extract, and this is called Mighty yeast extract, which is Marmite ripoff. So it is. See, it's like. Do you know what it gives? Like a beefy flavor to things. So if I'm really trying to convince somebody to go vegan, and that the bolognese that you put the lentils in and the walnuts, because you're getting those grizzly meat bits, you're mimicking all of that, and then you put this extract in, it really does give it that beefy flavor. It's really salty though.
Wow, that's interesting, and it's very popular, huh?
Yeah, but it definitely is a love it or hate it. I love it. With but it's that sort of perfect toast thing on toast. But we are big on our tea and toast, aren't we, as well, the British? Don't think you guys are as big on toast, are you?
Well, I think a lot of people, bagels, maybe croissant.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people. Do you have nutritional yeast? Can you find that in the UK?
Yeah. So I use that a lot for my cheesy sauces, and I make parmesan with just breadcrumbs, and then just toast the breadcrumbs, and then stir in some nutritional yeast, and I think it's just perfect parmesan, for the top of like a melanzane or.
Right. Is there anything you can't get there that would help you in plant-based cooking that you know of?
I can't think of anything.
That's great.
I think we can get all those flavors that because I wasn't vegan till I was 46, 47. And so I can't think of anything that I'm, missing out. I just certainly don't feel I'm missing anything at all, because I just feel so well in myself, and it's just, it's just a journey that keeps on giving, isn't it? Because you just feel better and better. And, and we know that it's the fact that we're going to live a healthier life, not so much a longer, but although obviously the stats are saying we will live longer, but it's the good health in later years. I think that is really attractive to people, particularly if they've got families and young kids, and we see all these chronic diseases and how they impact people's quality of life, and knowing that you can halt that and reverse it, it's a really powerful tool. Quite, a very emotional thing for people. I it's a big thing to say, well, I can't pick up my grandkids, I can't do this, I can't do that. Right.
How open
I'm
are you?
going on to, pardon?
Oh, I was going to say, how open are your patients to adopting a plant-based diet?
They're really good. So in my consulting room, I have a big board. So when you come in, you've got to, and you sit down and we chat and, you know, we talk about the issues. But then at some point there'll be a pause. There might be a blood pressure check or something. And they're looking at my big board, which says, you know, do you, or basically, you know, the rules of lifestyle medicine, you know, exercise daily, don't eat animals, don't smoke, don't drink. So it was quite funny actually. It used to say eat less animals. And then the patients complained that I'd said don't drink alcohol. And I said, well, okay, you can have a glass of wine, you can have a bit of alcohol, but then you're not having any animals. So now it's don't eat animals, and you can have minimal alcohol intake. But we have, you know, I've seen lots of disease reversal in so much as particularly high blood pressure and diabetes. You know, if patients embrace the diet that's abundant and healthy, then you can reverse those changes. Right, so I'm going to make a delicious plate of food for you, which I hope you can virtually enjoy.
Oh, my mouth is watering. I wish there was smell-o-vision.
The smell's great, I know. It's so sad, isn't it? So there's our grains that we cooked up. So we had buckwheat, we had 2 types of quinoa, red and white, and the short grain brown rice. I just really like that because it's nutty. And to that, I'm going to add some festive cranberries and some chestnuts. I'll just stir those through. So again, you know, we're just adding all these healthy foods. You're not going to eat, you know, you're just going to have a small bit of all of these things. And some pumpkin seeds just for color.
I love using chestnuts in place of nuts in a lot of recipes because they're much lower in fat.
Yeah, exactly. And do you get celery up there?
I don't know what that is.
So here it is.
Oh,
so it's like the
yes, I'm
celery
sorry.
bowl.
I know what that is. Yes, we do get that.
Yeah. So this is a lovely flavor, and you can use it in salads, but it does make a delicious celeriac and chestnut soup. And I do blend that one. Okay, so we've got slightly over wilted greens, more wilted than we perhaps would have liked. But we'll put that down to chatting. And then we've got our lovely grains. And our smoky mushrooms. And I'm just going to get out the potatoes. So we are absolutely going to have a feast, aren't we? And that's the thing, you know, what you might find is after your celebratory dinner that you've got some of these things already, and it may just be, okay, so let's add some spices, let's add some different nuts, different flavorings, you know, to those leftover potatoes. The sun doesn't want to come on. And you can still enjoy all this abundant food. And there's our balsamic and garlic. Oh, yum. You really do want to smell that. I'm going to put this extra little garlic there for me, like a little flower. And just to top, I'll probably just pop some walnuts on there. So we really do have a delicious abundance of flavors.
What are some of the traditional English desserts? Trifle?
Trifle, so good. Sorry, I put a hot potato in my mouth. So cake, we're big fans of cake, sponge cake, trifle, anything chocolatey. So tray bakes like millionaire shortbread, things like that have become popular now. Brownies are massive here now where they never used to be. And yeah, but sponge cakes and trifle is easy to replicate, to veganize with just fruits, a sponge, and then you can make obviously a vegan custard, and you can buy those creams. But again, you know, it's processed and it's sugary, but it's, you know, it's a one-off. I often make like a sponge cake though, or a banana loaf, because you can add your flax and your sticky toffee pudding is another one, because I love those unsalted apricots, you know, they go sticky. I do a chocolate cheesecake with date and pecan base, and then an avocado cacao top layer, and then you put raspberries on the top. Do you watch Great British Bake Off?
I've seen it, and I think you have that picture on your Instagram page. That's a dessert that I was looking at.
So I did that. So I did that before the Bake Off, and then and it always makes me laugh because yeah. So that was in my book, and then
did you take the photos yourself? And is this book available to people outside of the UK?
Yeah, so it's on Amazon, but it's not this ring bound version. It's a paperback version, so you can get it. Yeah, otherwise it's through the bio in my Instagram. But I think the postage to the US is about $25. So it's a bit steep. But yeah, otherwise it's yeah. Get someone to buy it when they're over here.
Have you thought about maybe putting it in an ebook or Kindle form so that people in other countries?
It's on Kindle. Yeah, it's on Kindle.
So then we should be able to access that, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Nice. Can you hold that?
And then I've got a new one coming out for called The Adventures of Chef Anima and Granny Vegano, which is a nice kids storybook about two chefs who travel around, and they're all to places that I've been, and so it's all my little travel stories, and then they meet animals, and then they all cook together. So it was really fun to write, and it's, you know, yeah, it's a nice book. It brings together lots of different topics like, you know, sustainability, veganism, but parents or carers or school teachers can sort of choose how, you know, to moderate it to how old the kids are as to what topics they bring up. You know, I think in the first one we've got a hippo in Zimbabwe, and it's, yeah, they make a fish stew, and they go to Brazil, you know, to see the pink river dolphins in the Amazon. So there's all that sort of talk around the Amazon that we can bring in, so we can just educate the kids about what we're eating and what's healthful and what's helpful for the planet. So it's yeah, it's nice.
Well, you're a triple threat. You're a doctor, you're a chef, you're an author.
I've got to get another recipe book out as well. Healthier on the hog.
Would you mind holding the plate up and, you know, a little bit closer to the camera if you can, and just like
absolutely
just saying whatever.
How's that? Does that work?
It works for me. Maybe you could just say what everything was.
Okay, so there's a white bean dip with tahini, lemon, rosemary, and roasted garlic. There's a balsamic, garlic, and star anise beetroot. Broccoli with orange, sesame, and pine nuts. Roasted garlic. White and sweet potatoes tossed in pumpkin spice and roasted. Some smoked mushrooms, and a triple grain with chestnuts, cranberries, and pumpkin seeds. And that's your happy holiday roasted brunch.
My God. Well, you know, if this doctor thing doesn't work out, you have a career. I can tell you that. That is quite extraordinary. And who even need with a feast like that? I don't even think there'll be room for dessert.
I know. And if there is, we can do the date thing.
That sounds fun. Well, you were just wonderful getting to know you, and thank you for the work you're doing. And I imagine your patients are very lucky to have you as well, especially if they see they can eat like this and lose weight and reverse disease.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much. It's been wonderful to be on your show.
Oh, it's so great. It's been a pleasure getting to know everybody from your organization. Thank you so much, Dr. Tate. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow when we have another wonderful guest from the UK. Bye, Max. You can eat now.
You can eat now, Maxie.
Take care, Dr. Tate. Bye-bye.
Bye.